Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Bill coming back at you with BetSum. I got Tom and Dave.
What's up, guys? We're going to talk daily fantasy and sports betting as usual. Let's first talk about some sweats we had this past week. A ton of people blew up, and I had a nice reverse sweat going on where I was 10th in one on Yahoo, and my players just declined that Monday night game. I didn't have anyone else going, and I was like, oh, let's see where I drop to. Ended up dropping like 50.
The feeling's the worst, right? You got no players left. You know the
I was ahead. I had a good amount of points, but I just knew, and then Carson to Jones.
I mean, that's the thing. Like even a half a point, is just gonna raise you 10 people above. It's crazy, 10 spots up.
Yeah, we Tom and I put in an NBA lineup for the kickoff night of the NBA last night. It was a 3-contest game, and we put in 6 lineups into the same $5 tournament, and we had a pretty sick reverse sweat in that one too, where we were top 5 the whole time. And unfortunately, who was it?
Yeah, who was it? Bazemore, right?
No, they got scratched at the last second.
Oh, Drew Holiday.
So we had a point guard, Drew Holiday. He got scratched half hour before the game. So since there was only one game to choose from, we couldn't afford Curry. We had to get his backup. So that kind of hurt us. But
it sucked that we couldn't play Nate Robinson, who we knew would take over the point guard duties for the Pelicans, but he was listed as a shooting guard. And you
could only be a point guard in that late game spot.
So that was, and of course Nate Robinson started at point, but
you couldn't pick him because he's classified as a shooting guard.
And that's probably one thing that you should bring up. And I mean, we've talked about before. I think, if they go back on one of those podcasts, you talk about, when it comes down to NBA and you're playing daily fantasy, just you got to keep an eye on that. Like if you don't have the time to keep an eye on that, then
you got to check it at least a half hour before a game tip off.
Because that's when that happens, right? I mean,
and the NBA more than other sports where they're going to have last minute cancellations, sickness, people, It definitely happens a lot more often there.
It's not like the NFL where you can set your lineup and be relatively safe with it as long as your players weren't questionable or something or day to day. You never know when a coach might just pull a player, he might be sick and just whatever. So
and that's for every game. It's not like it's
not like at 6
tonight.
p.m.
Right.
If you have a 6 p.m. and a 10 p.m. game, you gotta look.
Keep checking.
Most guys are rock solid, but it's just a general fundamental. It's in our top 5 things to know before playing NBA Daily Fantasy post too. So it's one of the most important. But that almost hurt us last night, opening night.
All right,
So a couple good sweats.
Oh yeah, it was good. It's a good sidebar for NBA. You want to get back to NFL?
Sure.
See where we're at.
What kind of stacks you like this week, Bill?
The stacks that I like the most right now, or at least what I have in my lineup, is I got Rivers and Gates. Even though Gates is questionable, it just seems like the two of them, when they did play, that they were just beasts together, and they just they put up some great points. So that's probably my stack up of the week.
Now is Gates, what's his status?
Right now he's questionable. He didn't play last week.
Input Green at the last second if you have to.
Input Green if
he's
if
cheaper,
I have to,
so you can do it.
He's cheaper. He still put up great points this last week. I think it was 18 on DraftKings.
So you might have to check an hour before the game.
Yeah, I mean, he got a touchdown. He got 2 2-point conversions. It wasn't terrible. I mean, it was pretty good. So what do you got for stack?
I love Cutler and Jeffrey this week. The Bears are coming off a
great pick.
Bye at home, division game against Minnesota. Minnesota's not very scary on defense.
Cutler's a good price.
Great price, 5,500, 5,200. So 3,000 less than the top guys, and he's not scared to air it out. And I think he targeted Jeffrey 11 or 13 times first week. He had because Jeffrey was out for a couple weeks.
Yep.
He came back, didn't miss a beat. So I expect that to be really big. And the other one I kind of like is Flacco and Steve Smith.
Nice.
I think that game will be high scoring. I think San Diego has no other choice. That's their identity right now. But they're traveling cross country. I think Baltimore. I don't know if they're off a bye. I don't think.
No, they're not.
But they're home, and I think that's gonna be a high scoring game. So I like Flacco and Smith too.
And I saw a stat on SportsCenter that said, the Ravens have lost every game by 1 possession or less. I mean, 1 possession basically, but by 8 points or less.
Flacco's that prototypical.
They're 1 and 5 or whatever.
That can 6'5", that can take him and Stafford, Rivers. Those guys can Tannehill even those guys can get their teams back from a lot of deficits.
Well, to complete the QB stack theme here, Tom just mentioned Tannehill. I like Tannehill and Jarvis Landry. They're going against the Patriots. It's a high point total, so there should be points scored. And it's an 8-point line, so if that game gets a little out of reach, Tannehill will have to start just throwing, and Landry is pretty safe floor.
Yeah, he looks great.
And they could rack up a ton of garbage points in the third and fourth. So, and I also like Peyton Manning and either Sanders or Demaryius. I tend to lead towards Sanders. It's always a little cheaper. They're off a bye. They've had Peyton Manning's had 2 weeks to get ready for this.
Well, Manning's a great price too, right? I mean,
that's the thing, and he's a great price. He's cheaper than Rivers.
He's had some shitty games, but
same price as Russell Wilson.
Right. He's had some shitty games, but this is Peyton Manning.
And he's off of a bye. At some point, you think
he's home against the top quarterback in the league.
It might be a shootout, and he's ready. He's ready for a shootout.
Like he's going to want to, perform very well.
If there's a week to pick him, because I haven't really been picking him this year, but it'd be this year. It'd be this week.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right.
So what do you guys think about running backs? You want to start that off, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of great running backs this week. You got Freeman. I mean, just to go down them, you got Freeman, you got Bell. Both are at home. They're expensive, but these are guys that are just going to put the numbers up again. I like Todd Gurley, right? I mean, he put up a great game last week. I think he could do it again.
Yeah, he's got a great matchup at home.
Great matchup at home. Woodhead put up a great game again. I just think there's so many great running backs. It's really hard to go wrong here. But I guess if I had to pick two, I'm picking Woodhead and Todd Gurley.
Nice. I like Gurley as well. I'm paying for Le'Veon Bell this week. At home, I think in a division game, like Petey was saying earlier, they're going to force feed him and make sure if they do lose to Cincy, he got his plenty of touches.
Yeah.
So I like him, Gurley, and McFadden as well because the price is great on DraftKings. He's getting the nod as a starting back behind that great offensive line, and even if Seattle does stifle him, he's going to get receptions. He had 9 a game, 2 games ago, and he's heavily involved. So I think that's a great price this week.
He crushed it last week. He definitely outperformed Randall, right? That's the other running
back.
back.
Yeah, he's. I think he's solidified himself above him now, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's a great pick.
So I think a good value pick is, he'll be my flex, but I think it's a good value pick.
Yeah. What are you thinking there?
I like paying for running backs this week.
Yeah.
Haven't been doing that too much lately, but top 2 running backs on DraftKings are Bell and Freeman, and I think they're both worth the price, and you can gamble on your QB wide receiver stack. And those 2 players at home, Le'Veon Bell is home against the undefeated Cincinnati Bengals in a division game. Pitt's going to want to win it, and I don't think Tomlin's going to let them lose by not giving it to Bell. He's not going to put it on Landry Jones. Is Big Ben starting this week? He's not,
Yeah,
right?
he is.
Oh, Big Ben is starting this week.
As far as I heard, that's why I like Antonio Brown, too, to
Mm-hmm.
pick for.
All right, well then, I still like Bell, but if Landry Jones is playing, I love him. Anyway, I would still pay for him, but I really like...
I'm sure they'll acclimate Big Ben back to the game speed, too, by featuring Bell a lot. A lot of quick passes to him to get
right.
Big Ben back into the flow.
And then, so I also like Devontae Freeman. I just think that Atlanta lost that, or they barely won that game last week, and they're home against a bad defense, and Freeman's their horse. So those are the 2. I love them, but if you want more of a mid-range guy like Ingram at home, he had a good game last week. I think he's another one. I like Justin Forsett, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Forsett should be
and
good.
I really like Woodhead. And Woodhead you can't go wrong with because he always gets you 15 to 20. And he had 33 last week. So I feel like at 4,500 he just...
I can't believe it. Yeah, it's the best value.
And then the last 2 are, I like McFadden. He's at home against Seattle, but he's so cheap. He's going to be so low drafted. And Dallas has a good offensive line. And they looked good against the Giants, and I think that he had a good game, and I think that because of those reasons, he's also home, and the line's kind of strange to me.
I like Chris Johnson too. We don't normally pick away backs, but Chris Johnson's at Cleveland. Arizona's dominating every facet of the game right now, and I could very easily see them getting up and just hammering it with Chris Johnson.
Okay, one more thing to note on the running backs before we move on is Alfred Blue might be a good spot to pick him, just as he's filling in for Arian Foster at home.
I swear, he's just always hurt. It just seems like he's never playing.
Yeah.
So good when he's out there. It's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, he's a monster when he's healthy, but it just seems like he's never healthy. But
it's about the third year in a row.
I mean, could Alfred Blue really? I mean, he probably could make something happen. I mean, it seems like we haven't seen anything yet, but it's definitely.
I mean, they're home against a bad team, so he should be able to get you at least 10 or 15, and possibly if he gets a touchdown or a big game more, and he'll allow you to buy big in spots like tight end or wide receiver 3, where you tend to get burned and lose your lineup a lot. So he might be a good spot. Plug him in a lineup or two, but. All right, so let's mention a few receivers on the sneak that we might like this week. Bill, you like James Jones a lot, right?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we've seen him have some, pretty decent games in the past, especially this season. And, with Jordy Nelson out, we've seen him come up in the rankings a little bit here and kind of light some things up.
And he's still pretty cheap.
He's still cheap. I think Randall Cobb's on 100%. Basically Jones could get it done. He's definitely he's an option with a possibility, and I think he's proved it once or twice. So I think this is a game that he could have pretty big. It's gonna be a high scoring game, I think. And
it's a good reverse stack, right?
Good reverse stack,
So if you're gonna play a Peyton Manning stack, it might be good,
Sanders.
Peyton Sanders Jones.
Yeah.
Just to get a wide receiver on the opposite side of that stack. If you think it's gonna be a shootout, then in that game, it should work both ways. That's a good spot for a reverse stack. Pick a wide receiver opposite of your stack. So.
Yep. What other reverse stacks? You got another reverse stack that we're thinking about?
Or any wide receivers on the sneak, Tom?
A good reverse stack that I notice, I'll take Cutler and Jeffrey at home, and then I'll reverse that with Steve Smith.
Yeah.
He's gonna be at home with Flacco, but I like Cutler a little bit better. So it's a separate game actually, but I'm just saying
you like this?
I like Steve Smith and Jeffrey, and then Antonio Brown. Coming back with Big Ben back now. I think Antonio Brown has another monster game.
Yeah.
And on the deep pick in that one, that's what I meant. If you want to go Big Ben and Antonio Brown, maybe Big Ben's cheap this week.
Yep.
But on the reverse stack of that, Marvin Jones is probably cheap, and I think that opposite, AJ Green in a shootout game, I see that being a high scoring game. So I like his upside as a cheap pick.
Yeah. Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I think this week I'm gonna pay for Julio Jones. I think we're gonna see a big performance out of Atlanta, and he's been on the quieter side. And I also like Cooks as a decent mid-range guy. He hasn't had a huge season, but continues to be Breeze's favorite target, and the Saints are starting to play well again. So as far as receivers, I'm trying to think if I had any more. You like Diggs still, right?
I like Diggs. If I had to do another reverse, I'd probably do Diggs and then Bell. I'm sorry. I would do, Diggs, and I would do Ashlon. That's probably what I would do, Jeffrey. Diggs the last two games, you look at him, I mean, who the hell is this guy? A good price. They seem like they have a good fit now in Minnesota. I know, he just put up some great numbers. So I'm going to stick with him again one more week, see what happens. He might lay a goose egg, but, that's the risk. What is he, like 4,800 or something? I don't even know what he's at on DraftKings. It's something
really
pretty
cheap.
Yeah, something pretty cheap.
Oh, let me find out for you.
I think that'll be a high-scoring game, too. Bridgewater will have to keep pace with Cutler. So, targeting Diggs has been a lot more better than, Charles Johnson or Greg Jennings. Those guys really aren't doing much at all.
Right.
And I just want to let everyone know that I'm going Snead free this week. It's been for the first time in a while. I can't do it again. He really sunk my lineup last week. Him, Watson.
Man,
yeah, there's a few guys. I had a Lamar Miller and Tannehill and Landry at stack, and I just got sneeded, and it's for the last time.
Yeah.
But all right, let's just mention a few tight ends and team Ds that we like. We always say that we hate tight ends because they tend to sink your lineup just as much as a wide receiver 3. So sometimes it's good to pay for them, pay top dollar. Gamble on Tom, you like to gamble on the home running backs, right?
Yeah.
And kind of a cheaper home running back with a good matchup.
That's
and then
guaranteed to starts.
Yeah, so then you have a high floor on them, and you can pay for your wide receiver 3 tight end position.
Yep.
So you're not getting goose egged by, Bennett, Kelsey, or whatever. These tight ends are very hit or miss.
I mean, Almost everybody should just go with Gronk every single week if they can at this point. But I mean, I totally understand if you can't fit it and you need the points, then you need the cash, right, for your salary cap. You got to pick somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seems like it's Gronk, Gates if he's healthy. That's the other problem. Kelsey, right? I mean, Kelsey's done some good. Reed last week.
To me, the top three are Gronk, Olsen, and Gates. They're the top tier one, right?
Right.
And then I don't even put Eifert and Witten and Graham, who the next three are. I don't even put them in the tier two, because they're not that consistent. But
right.
I do think Kelsey, Bennett, Delaney Walker, and even the backup, Barnage, and the backup for on San Diego has been killing all year. Darius Green. So for the value, he's greatest. But
so what you could also do is pay for Gates, and if he, you check before the game, an hour before the game, and if he's out, get Green, and you'll have enough money to get him because Gates is more expensive.
Yeah.
So a Gates or Green can't be bad. I mean, they've failed. When whoever's starting in that spot has gotten you 10 to 30 every week this season. So I mean, that's a spot, and they're not nearly as expensive as Gronk. It's half the price. So,
for super cheap guys, I like Ebron and Donnell from the Giants. I think that they both have solid quarterbacks that are going to look for them in the red zone, and they're on the unquestioned tight end one.
And Donnell has a lot of targets, and he's had a lot of weird dropped passes. So Manning's looked towards him, and he probably should have had more production than he's had.
Yeah.
So, whether that keeps up.
Yeah, I think against the Saints this week, it might be a good opportunity for them.
Well, the only other tight end I want to mention is, and again, this is a conversation we had before. We should probably have more online. Is, if you have a rookie quarterback, there's a good chance they're going to be throwing more to the tight end because they don't have the arm to get it down there or the confidence to get it down there.
Yeah, there's
a short field, right? So Julius Thomas, right?
Yeah.
Jacksonville,
and he just came back last week and had a couple almost big plays.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Bortles likes throwing.
They paid for him. That's the number one. That's probably their best player right now on offense.
He's a stud. I mean, the last two games, or one of the lineups I had him, he got 20 points. Came in off the bench. I don't know if he was hurt or whatever, suspension, whatever the hell it was. But again, so if you have that kind of inexperienced rookie, quarterback. I mean, it goes the other way, obviously, like Brady Gronk, but I don't know. It might be something to keep an eye on.
He's very young in the league and is going to need to depend on him. And he got good receiving options there, but looks like Julius.
And he's
Thomas,
a monster.
Yeah, Julius Thomas is definitely coming up, and
he's a matchup killer. No linebacker can match up with him. So or no safety can either. So he's just a safe zone for Bortles. And I think Bortles has proven that he likes him. So I like that. But I also just want to mention I do like Witten a lot this week. So I think they're going to win outright, and Witten might be a big reason for it. Witten and McFadden. Mm-hmm. So let's just talk about team defenses that we like. I'll just start it off by saying Tier 1 defense that I like is Atlanta. Tier 2 defense I like is the Texans at home against the Titans. I think they really might show up, have a huge game. And for a huge reach, it's not really a huge reach in my mind, but for a really cheap defense is Oakland at home against the cross-country traveling Jets. I think they could have a really big game in there at 2,200, which is just about as cheap as it gets. So that's who I like at home. Bill, I know you like the Rams a lot.
Yeah, I mean my top tier one would be the Rams. I think
and they're home against the Niners, who just look. That's some ugly football going on over there in San Francisco.
Not good stuff going on.
It's pretty bad.
What the hell is going on over there?
I think this is going to be a reach for me. I think my mid-range, I don't even know about the mid-range. I'll tell you my lowest one. I like New Orleans. The last 2 weeks when they were home, I mean, they got 20 points, and this is against Eli Manning, who's already thrown a bunch of picks in Philadelphia the last game we saw that.
The cheapest possible
day. It's 2,000. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't understand why it is, honestly.
And Rob Ryan, their defensive coordinator, and the New Orleans at home are typically really aggressive, gambly Ds. And if they get right on a few gambles, could really put a hurting on Eli.
Really
fuck him up.
Really give Eli that crying face on the sideline we all love so much.
Yeah, I'd be nice to see that face for 2,000. So yeah, I like that. Tom, you like any Ds before we move on?
I agree with all the ones you guys mentioned. The only one that I kind of like that a lot of people might not have is the Ravens. Traditionally good defense. They're at home, and San Diego's coming cross country after just losing to Oakland. So, maybe they don't have as good as weak as they normally do. With all those things considered, but
I know you also mentioned Carolina as possible.
yeah, I do like Carolina, but again, so I'm picking against Rivers and Luck, which isn't necessarily smart to do. But I mean, how much? Every season's different, and Luck and the Colts are struggling mightily right now.
Yeah.
They have no running game. They have no defense at all.
He's had quite a few amount of interceptions.
Yep, and people are he just doesn't look very strong. He's telegraphing a lot of his passes, so that is a deal I like this week. Carolina's playing lights out. They've won 9 or 10 in a row, dating back to last season, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. So I do like Carolina, and we'll get to sports betting soon. But especially I like the Carolina, betting wise.
You like the line?
Yeah, that's probably one of my pick of the weeks.
Well, let's move the lines unless you think there's anything else to talk about, special teams or defense.
No, I think we're good. We'll move to the lines now. All right, so let's start with Miami at New England. New England -8. The over-under is 51. I believe it's the highest total of the week. So, Bill, what are your thoughts on that game? You like anyone, or are you just staying away?
No, I'm just staying away. I mean, I might take the under of that, but I definitely do not take the -8 or -7.5, whatever the hell I have it at.
Yeah, I like the under on that. Tom and I were talking earlier. We see kind of more of a defensive battle in that game, like a 27-20, 24-20 type New England win, where and the public's 75% on the over, so that's always nice to be able to fade that. In my opinion, it's an extra edge. I like the under too.
The thing that scares me about this game is what you mentioned earlier, is that it could be a spot where Belichick severely outcoaches the interim coach.
Exactly, yeah.
So I mean, he's got a hot hand. He's got the confidence of the team behind him and everything, but they have not marched into Foxborough before, and he might get embarrassed. But like we're saying, I'd probably stay away from the game line, but under 47 seems pretty good because I can only think that Miami's going to try to establish the run game with Lamar Miller.
Oh, it's 51, but yeah, the under is great, and I think that Miami will try and establish that run game. They'll still lose, but that'll kind of dictate Miami's tempo. I think that those 8-point lines, I hate betting them. So I mean, like they make me want to bet the favorite. Those fringe points, 8 instead of 7, but the public is 70% on the favorite in this spot, New England. So I would stay away. If I had to bet the game, I would bet Miami to lose by a touchdown, but I don't know. I like the under the most there. So,
yeah.
So, you guys ready to move on?
Yeah, move on.
Detroit at KC, and we don't know who KC is starting at quarterback yet, but they're still favored by 5.5.
That's wild.
So there's that. I mean, the Lions just look terrible. They just do.
They do. I mean,
Stafford needs to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, he had that one monster game 2 games ago, and Kansas City is one of the toughest stadiums to play in. Detroit's a dome team. Like,
I'm still taking him because of that comeback ability. So I think that they will keep it under 5, but it seems like a Vegas nose towards KC. It really does.
Yeah, it does seem like a Vegas nose towards KC, and but the public's 65% on Detroit. That's pretty split. And I think actually what you said, this year we haven't seen a lot of that comeback potential from Stafford, but in the years past, he was just known for that. He was known for getting down 2 touchdowns and then bringing them back, making a very close game at the end. So.
I mean, the truth is, you got Kansas City, right? What we got Macklin hurt, right? Or is he in? Even if he is, honestly, I mean, you got
this last week up in the air for this, I think.
Up in the air. You got Jamal Charles who's out, right? So you got their second back or whatever it is, like Niles. Oh, is it not Davis?
Arkantrick West, yeah.
Arkantrick West. All right. I mean, I just don't.
That's something you got to think about too. Is that KC could just. I mean, they have a terrible record.
I mean, they're.
But who's?
It's almost like a reverse line where it's trying to fool the people who've been paying attention into betting the Chiefs. But I kind of do like Lions money line just because Stafford's better than Alex Smith. Like, you want to simplify it like that? There you go. And he's got Calvin Johnson and Alex Smith's got nobody to throw to really. Travis Kelce is the tight end. Like, I mean, who does it? I don't even know the
I mean,
guy
this-
opposite of Macklin.
this is stuff we
Who's
talk
the second
about.
receiver in the Chiefs. Got me.
I have no idea.
It's kind of crazy to think about.
I mean, to be honest, and like I wouldn't bet this game. And if I had to, just because of the way it feels, I would bet the Chiefs personally. But I don't know. I know this is going to be a game where everyone's split.
I gotta disagree. I gotta choose Detroit. I don't know why, but I
Sure.
don't know what.
If I had to, I'd take Detroit too. But it's just a non-bet for me.
All right,
Weird
so
line.
next game we'll talk about is Vikings at Chicago. We spoke about this one earlier. This is one that we all really like here, Chicago, and they're +1 at home. 76% of the public is on Minnesota. Dome team going outside, and
Division match.
yeah, I mean,
Chicago off a bye at Minnesota's. Wow.
I think Chicago's slightly better than people think. Obviously, they're capable of just slaying up a stinker.
They
But
just
I-
play
I-
differently with Cutler at the helm. They believe in him. They know that they're going to get the ball. I believe it was Bennett who compared him to Jesus upon his return, which might have been exaggerating a little bit, but because Bennett had such a monster game and no production with him out, like you understand how his receivers feel about him basically.
Yeah, I like Chicago in this game. I like them to win. But this is one of the 4 games that I'll definitely be betting this week. Is Chicago +1. I don't know if it's the safest game, but I do like it. So, do you have feelings on that one, Bill?
I mean, I'm probably. Who we got?
Minnesota at Chicago.
Man. I mean, I like Chicago.
Yeah. So I
just-
figured all 3 of us agreed on that one.
Yeah.
Talking earlier.
Yep.
We got the Bucks at the Falcons next, and the Falcons are -7, 7.5 on most books. You could find it at 7. It's another one of those Miami at New England -8-ish lines, but in this case, I think Atlanta's they're just much better than Tampa. But I mean, the public's on Atlanta here, 72%, and this is a spot where I would actually go with the public. Tampa's looked pretty good, but I think Jameis Winston's due for a bad game against a good defense.
I love the over of this game personally. I just think that
49, 48. Yeah.
Winston's got like 3 targets over 6'5", including a tight end and Evans and Vincent Jackson, and I just think that that's going to keep him in most games. He had a really nice deep touchdown pass last week, and I do think he's going to turn over the ball a lot. This seems like a game where they're going to be down 14 and lose by 7, but maybe it's 35-28, something like that in my mind.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, honestly, you got both these teams. It almost seems like every team Tampa Bay plays, the score is so damn high. I mean, if you go back, it just seems like that's just what it is.
Yeah, they put up points. Their defense isn't that great. And
they get really far behind, and then they just somehow they get back up there. But one way or another, they're high scoring games. So,
I think we're going to see the return of Atlanta this week. But next game is Giants at Saints. Saints -3 on most books, 3.5 on others.
Man, I got to go Saints here. I mean, I just think that it's a tough stadium to play. I just New Orleans, like when they played, they got 20 points up from defense. Breeze is better than their record is showing right now. Eli Manning when he played Philadelphia, he's just laying up. How many picks did they have? I don't know. I just see that. I like Breeze.
And you like New Orleans defense.
I like New Orleans defense. I think they're gonna come out on top here, and that's what's gonna cover the spread.
I think this is like the exacta of the year so far. Like,
Yeah.
I love exacting any 3-point line,
No
some
call,
7.
we'll keep it close.
This is gonna be a close game, and Saints are gonna win with 7 seconds left on
Like
a field goal.
13-10. It's gonna be like something no one expects. Everyone's expecting a shootout. I kind of like the under in this, and exact would be pretty money. But,
Yes, betting that they'll win. They're gonna buy
2010,
exactly
20,
3.
2017, that kind of game. I
Get
see.
20 to 1 on it. Other than that, I don't even know if I'd bet it. Public split on that one. Anyone else like anything in the game? No. San Francisco at the Rams. The Rams are, again, we see another one of these -8-point lines. This line's a little all over the place. It goes from 7.5 to 9.5. It's pretty regularly at 8.5 though. and the public split on it. And again, I never know what to do with these 7.5 and 8 point lines. I never know what the hell to do with them.
Yeah, it's probably a game I stay away from. Again, like I'm looking at all these lines, and I just there might be one or two games that I would choose, and probably one out of those two is the over under. It's not even the line, so I don't know. I stay away from this game.
Tom, any thoughts?
Yeah, division game. I'll take San Fran here just because I think that it's going to be close. I think that 14-13. I think it's going to be low scoring and close with this game. Both teams are going to try to establish the run game. One thing to look out for is Carlos Hyde is having injury issues, so you want to monitor his status. But he apparently has like a small stretch fracture in his foot, but they're going to let him play through it. It's apparently not going to be too bad, but it's supposed to require a rest. But I think that they're going to try to run the ball and play slow.
Yeah, I think I like San Fran barely too. I just like betting on them when they're coming off some tough games, and the Rams look really good.
Yeah,
their value in the interconference, and Rams. That's actually the biggest part about it. But the Rams
know each other.
Yeah, but the Rams haven't looked amazing offensively besides Gurley, and I think their value might be a tad bit overhyped right now.
It's a very low
San
total
Fran
too,
a tad bit
at
under
39. So that kind of speaks to me where
either they're going to win 30-3, the Rams, or it's going to be like a 17-13.
I agree.
But so I lean towards the Niners. That's ugly to say, but let's just move on fast. Arizona at the Browns.
I'm all over Arizona this week. I'm going to ride with the public here. I just think that they're better at every single facet of the game than Cleveland.
Seriously, -4.5. That's it.
-4.5. Arizona.
I don't know why that is.
It is a low line. This is a spot where I would typically pick Cleveland, but I'm just going to stay away because I like to stay away from those games where you're betting against the hottest teams. And I mean, who's hotter than Arizona right now? Not many teams.
Yeah.
I would stay away from this game. If I had to bet it, I would, just because of my system that I like to bet, I would bet Cleveland, but I would never bet it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm choosing Arizona, honestly, on this one. That's probably my. I agree with you. I'd probably stay away, but if I had to choose, then I would pick Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure that they could easily win by 21 points here. They're just
that's what I'm
Cleveland's at doing the quarterback carousel. Arizona's D is.
Count can keep pace with everybody, but I just don't think they have the receivers to keep pace.
That's just what it is. Like, they can only throw it to Brainage so many times, right? I mean, like, what the hell are they gonna? I don't know who the hell they're gonna throw it to.
Benjamin should have Patrick Peterson on him, so he's gonna negate it completely. He's one of the top cornerbacks in the game.
All right, so let's move on to the Bengals at Pitt. Roethlisberger is slated to play right now. Keep an eye on that, though. And that line is about to pick 'em at the moment.
I love the over this game.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a shootout. I think both teams are going to have to compete with each other. They're balanced with receivers on both sides. Big Ben's going to be back, so he's going to have the rapport with Antonio Brown. And I just think that all these position players I like this week to have a big game. AJ Green, Antonio Brown. I think it's going to be through the air.
Okay. This is a game that is this is really tough to pick. You have the undefeated Bengals. I mean, I lean towards the home team here, but I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm not going to bet it. I would lean towards Pitt if I had to. So let's move on to Chargers at Baltimore. There's a cross country game. We do tend to pick against cross country teams. The public split on this one, and Baltimore is favored by 3.
Yeah, I like Baltimore at home. I like them to take care of business.
It's worth noting that they have lost all of their games that they've lost. I think they've only won one game, and were by one possession or less. They tend to keep every game close.
Right. Yeah, that is important. And, San Diego going across country, maybe Gates is out.
I mean, and you got the hot Chargers against the lowly record-wise, at least, Ravens, and the Ravens are favored. Mm-hmm. So I would have to side with the Ravens too. The Tennessee at Houston line is off right now. We don't know who's starting at Tennessee. I think Houston's going to beat the hell out of them personally, so I don't even know what the line is, but I would probably go with Houston there.
I'm routinely surprised that Tennessee can keep pace with any other team in the league. I just don't understand.
They got the shit kicked out of them last week.
They have just no running backs. They have maybe one receiver. Like, it's interesting.
To say the least.
I don't know how they do it. I really don't. You got Mettenberger and Delaney Walker as the top combo. Like,
Yikes.
How are they even?
Yeah.
They're not. All right, let's move away from that game fast as well.
Yeah.
Jets at the Raiders, and I love this game. I'm actually excited to watch this game. You asked me 3 years ago how much it would cost to watch a Jets versus Raiders game. It's been high, but I'm actually going to watch this game this week. I actually like both of these teams this year, but it's another cross country trip. Jets traveling cross country. They looked pretty good against the Patriots. Oakland looked really good at the Chargers. Beating the hell out of them away. Who do you guys like in this game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm picking Oakland all day here. But it's a little biased. But honestly, I just think that they're going to do it. I think they're going to make it happen. They looked really strong, like you said last week. Fitzpatrick should have had like 3 interceptions last game against the Patriots. I mean, honestly, they have I know he has the least amount of sacks or whatever when we were looking that up before, but I think this is the game where that stat gets dragged down quite a bit. I think it's just gonna.
I think Oakland gets to him.
I think Oakland gets to him.
I do too. I love Oakland in this game. I'm teetering on it being one of my pick of the weeks. I love that they're a home dog, and that line might get up to 3. Where is it right now? At 2.5, 2, 1, 2.
Not a bad exact bet.
Yeah, if it gets to 3. But I like Oakland to win this game outright. I love that the public's against them. I love that Jets are traveling cross country. So I like Oakland a lot in this game. Do you have any thoughts, Tom?
I agree. I wouldn't house it, but I like Oakland.
So next game we have Seattle at Dallas. Dallas is starting Matt Castle, who looked decent, right? I mean, did he? I mean, I know the Cowboys look decent, and McFadden had a big game.
Yeah, I mean,
Dez might be returning.
It's as simple as that for me. I'm going to lay the points if Seattle, with Seattle, if Dez is out, and if Dez is in, I like even their money line up to we were talking about because he might give McFadden, the cushion he needs, with respect to the defense, So I can see them really keeping pace if Dez is in.
Dallas is one of my favorite picks here this week. I think that I like him at plus. The line opened at 5, I believe, maybe 6. And I liked it there. And if, for instance, on 5 dimes right now, you can find the line at 7. So I would go to a book and get Dallas plus 7.
Right, look at a bunch of books and then try and figure out. Yeah.
I think Dallas's offensive line is the best in the league still. And I think that Seattle's defense is tough, but I think that Dallas turns this one out at home and gives Russell Wilson hell. And if Dez plays, then I definitely will pick it at plus 7. And I'm going to pick it at plus 7 just now, just in case he plays and the line goes down again. Because I like him even without him at plus 7, as weird as that sounds. But
nice. I like that.
We got Green Bay at Denver for Sunday Night Football. 2 undefeated teams playing. Denver off of a bye. And we have Green Bay minus 3. 77% of the public on Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, this is a spot where I do go with the public. I like Green Bay here. Honestly, I know Manning, like we talked about before, has the possibility of coming out and really doing something great, because he is Peyton Manning. But it's going to really be up to their defense. And, Rodgers is such a solid – I mean, when he throws it, it's right there. It's not like this, he's not going to loft it up. He takes advantage of those flags. Every time that happens, it almost seems like he's getting – they get in the red zone or they get a touchdown every single time.
He is an expert at drawing that defense off sides and getting a free play downfield.
Every time, man. It's not like – it's not
one
even
of those
like –
underutilized things.
It just seems like, you look at the games, like he's just perfected that. But again, who knows? I think it's going to be a great game to watch either way. I think Green Bay pulls it out here,
flip-flop into my mind all week about this, but I just think that you can't ignore what's going on this year. I think that Peyton's he's just struggling. He's throwing ducks. Everything's wobbling. Both teams are coming off a bye. Let's not forget. So Packers are off a bye too. And I just think that Rodgers is going to take this as an opportunity to stomp on Manning, where Manning's taking this opportunity to keep pace in the public eyes with Rodgers. The big advantage is home and defense for Denver, but I got to side with Green Bay here, maybe with a 10-point win. So maybe 30-20 Green Bay if I had to. But I'm not going to. I don't think it's a game that you need to get involved with, really.
Yeah, it's so true. And there's another great exacta game where Green Bay could just win by exactly 3. Absolutely. I mean, it's so often. No, if I had to bet it, I would side with Denver personally. I like that they're just a home team getting 3 with the best defense in the league, best quarterback of all time possibly. I mean, he's just not the same. It's true, but
you can bet that he could figure it out.
They're both off a bye. They should both put together really good game plans. It's going to be a close game, I think. There's just too good of defenses to not be. So I would side with the home dog plus 3. Yeah. I'm actually going to bet that game most likely. All right, so
can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, and worth noting too, that's a low total for those two teams, but that's because of the best defense. The total's 45.
Best defense, and maybe it is a little bit of a chess match where they're going to be trying each other out, and
And if that's the case, it'll be close.
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on. Last game, Colts at the Panthers, Monday Night Football. The Panthers are minus a touchdown.
Colts at the Panthers.
Yeah. Total 46.
Panthers minus a touchdown.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't realize it was that high. I still like it.
Yeah, I like
that was my pick of the week. I figured it'd be 3.5. I did 7. Wow. All right, so Vegas 6. I think on that game particularly, I think Carolina's budget better. They're a really good team. The Colts aren't. Everyone's sticking to the Colts because of the namesakes. They got Luck, Gore, and Andre Johnson. Well, big what? They're not doing shit.
Yep.
And traveling on the road. I mean, Gore still hasn't gone over 100 yards, right?
Carolina looks great right now.
Yeah, they're playing with so much confidence. Again, not another bad exacta though. Carolina did get up, and Luck's gonna be able to come back and maybe lose by 7. So
should be. I think it's gonna be a better game than people think. I still think the Colts are just gonna put it together one week. I don't think it's this week though. I would lean towards Carolina, but not a game I'll be betting. Thoughts, Bill?
No. I just have no thoughts on this game, honestly. I don't know. I watch Carolina, and obviously but when push comes to shove, I don't really think they can score the points. Somehow they, every game it's a low scoring game, and Indiana, the Colts. I don't know how I feel about this. 1 minute, Luck and the rest of the team, the last week, with T.Y. Hilton, the combo there, the stack, did awesome, right? But I just, like you said, Gore's just not there, and I don't know. This is a game I just stay away from. But if I had to pick, I'm agreeing with you guys. I would have to pick Carolina.
All right, well, that's about all the time we have, so let's wrap it up. Enjoy the week and win some money. Get out there, take some risks, and join us next week for the same show. And that's it.
See you guys next week.